One of the biggest things I believe leads to overwhelm is not doing daily and weekly reviews. So today I want to introduce you to a daily shutdown routine called the Daily Meeze. It's inspired by the book Work Clean by Dan Charnas, which is inspired by the culinary world. It's basically about applying the mise en place principles to your work. So mise en place is basically putting things in place, and this is essentially the digital version of putting things in place so that you can actually shut down your day and do a quick review, set things in place before you start the next day. I highly recommend reading the book. It's a great resource. I've definitely been inspired by many of the principles, and you'll see it in my Daily Meeze dashboard. I have a template for this that you can download. I will walk you through how it looks in my space, and then you can download the template. So let's jump in and I'll show you what it looks like in my workspace. So here we are in my Daily Meeze page. I see here to set a timer for 30 minutes. Even 5, 10, 15 minutes at the end of the day is going to be better than nothing. I don't always spend 30 minutes, but if I can spend a few minutes at the end of the day, I click on this Daily Meeze page, I come here and set a timer for 30 minutes, turn off all other distractions, and just complete your review. I promise you, your days are going to be so much less chaotic if you can get in the habit of doing both the startup ritual, which I talk about in another video, and this Daily Meeze process, which is the shutdown routine at the end of your day. So let me dig in and show you what this looks like. In the template provided, I don't include the databases because most of you probably already have your own Notion databases. So there's instructions for adding your own, but let me show you what it looks like with real data inside of the template. So the first thing I do is we want to close the gaps. Again, some of this is inspired also from getting things done and a lot of other productivity methods, but this idea of making sure to capture all next actions. So I try to clear out my inboxes. I check if there's anything that's come in that I can't respond to yet, and I can schedule those. I can star emails that I want to check the next day, etc. But just clearing out the inbox, even if you don't have time to respond to them, it's just about assigning that stuff and organizing it so that you can start the day fresh. Clear all my notifications, closing all browser tabs. And again, I've got this list for myself so that I don't have to think about it every single day. I just go through, check, okay, yes, review my pinned emails. If there's anything that urgently needs to be replied to, I can do that right now, but only if it takes less than 2 minutes. Otherwise, I need to schedule it for the next day. And I've got a little reminder to myself. The idea is not to get stuck in doing. So it's not about answering those emails. It's just about capturing the open loops. And for example, let's say there's an email I really need to reply to. I could put that in here and just say, make sure to reply to this person's email and give myself a date and a reminder, etc. So it's just about collecting and capturing all those open loops. So here I have all my next actions, and I have my linked actions database here. I'll show the database title just so you can see it. And this is a team database, so it's got OK prefixed on there. But basically this just gives me a really quick way to add things in there. And you'll actually see when I open up these filters, it's going to disappear as soon as I assign it a date. So this is just a place to capture and collect. But let's say I assign this to myself for tomorrow and I turn on a reminder. Great. You'll see that that's already disappeared from view. So this is just a place to really rapidly collect stuff. As soon as it gets assigned, it's gone. I can also see a list of things I've completed today if I want to, and then just a general calendar view of my tasks. But this is for quick capture. Great. Once I've captured all the open loops, I can scroll down. And this is the part that can be a little bit more time consuming. I think a lot of folks struggle with this, that feeling like you need to capture everything because you don't want to forget about it later. And, someday maybe you might use this information. So it can be really easy to get into a capture habit and not do anything with that. So one of the things that I like to do is I like to assign a default unprocessed status to anything that gets saved into my library. And the library database is a resource library. Everything gets captured into there that is content that other people create. Articles, news clippings, things I want to reference later, it all gets saved into this library database. So here are some examples of things I've saved. Here's an article that's currently unprocessed. It's been tagged and it's got a format of article. I can open this up. I can see the AI summary here as well and scroll down. I can decide if I want to read it, do something with it. I've actually read this article, so what I'm going to do is just say that this is reference. And that's going to disappear because my filters here are set to show everything where topics and tags is empty, or status is unprocessed, or the format is empty. So if any of those three things are true, as well as these date properties here, if any of that is true, it's going to show these articles here, which means as soon as something has a format, a topic and tag, and has been processed, it's going to disappear. So I will go through this and try and clear out the articles that I've saved for the day. And one thing I want to touch upon is the fact that if this feels tedious, then you are probably collecting way too many things throughout the day. If you're just using your clipper all the time, saving everything, without actually doing anything with that information, without actually setting aside time for reading that content, summarizing it, making notes, going through it, you probably have a bit of a capture habit. And I think you need to start there, because otherwise this stuff is just going to clutter your space and it's not really going to be helpful to you. So you need to consider making it a habit to go through and process this stuff. Otherwise, it's just going to start to collect like a gigantic backlog, just like our task lists. So this is one way that I get around that. And I will do this for my library database, my notes and ideas, documentation, swipe files, my courses that I'm taking. And I go through with all of my collection databases, all of my Knowledge Hub databases. I just go through, sort out those clippings, add anything that needs to be added, and then I can call it a day. So you really want to develop that habit of making sure to go through and process the things that you are clipping. Otherwise, they will come back to haunt you. Now, of course, reading all of these articles can take a substantial amount of time if you've saved a whole bunch, which again is problem number one. So the idea is not to actually do the reading during this time, but to set aside time to do that. So if you want to assign a date to yourself for when to read that, maybe you want to batch this and have, Friday mornings, you read through those articles. The key, though, is to set aside some time to do that. For me, it's not the end of the day. For me, this is just a place to do the processing, not actually doing the reading. So you may want to consider, when are you actually going to go and read the articles that you save? Do you have some time set aside to do that? If not, I would recommend doing that. Create a recurring item in your calendar, make it a routine, choose whether it's a morning, afternoon thing, maybe it's a weekend thing and you save them all up for the weekend. And again, if you find yourself not really doing the work of reading it, maybe you need to reinvestigate that capture habit. And so once I'm done capturing all those open loops, doing all that processing, I will close that and open up the next one into the reflection and review phase. So I start with the action items. I take a look at, what did I plan to do today that I did not complete? I just try to reflect on it, review what I did do, give myself a high five. And then this view is showing me all of my tasks that are assigned to me where the start date is today. I don't have any with a date today, so those aren't going to show here. I can also review yesterday's tasks really quickly here, as well as this week's tasks. So if I click on yesterday, I can see this is everything that was done yesterday, and I can also see how many hours those activities took up. Great. After I've reflected on my action items, I can reflect on my journal for the day. What did I do? How did I feel about it? What went well? What challenged me? I can look at my intention here. I can select any feelings for the day. Did I win the day? So did I complete the win the day task that I set for myself? Did I feel a sense of flow today? Did I sort of lose myself in my work where, time melts away and I'm just really energized and inspired? If so, I'd like to track that. So I check that. I can see my supplements here as well. I also have a log of all the supplements, so I can add them here. It just makes it really easy to add those really quickly. Similarly, I can log my energy. Now you'll see I have another instance of my journal below that is specifically for setting up my highlight of the day. But you'll see here, I also have energy, joy, activation, a bunch of different journal properties here. If I click on energize, for example, you'll see it actually shows up here as well. So it's just another way to one-click add relations that would just take a little bit longer. It's 2 clicks to add them here, or 1 click here. There's lots of little different optimizations that you can do with buttons to make this stuff really easy. I take a look at my daily log. I can also take a look at yesterday's view really quickly as well if I just want to see what happened yesterday and reflect on it. But yeah, I go through, if I watched any movies or shows, I'll add them here. Any practices here I can add. And yeah, it's just a way to add those reflections. I can come here and add wins and highlights of the day. And this is just, something awesome that happened, memory. Now this one is just a text-based place to put my highlights, whereas this one is actually a relation to a highlights database that both my husband and I have access to. So both of us can actually go through and add our highlights there. I can add my joy here, how activated and, motivated was I to do my work today, and how effective was I. I like to include some love notes. So if people say really nice things, if, someone sends us a testimonial, everyone on the team has access to this love notes database and we can all kind of clip things into there. It can be something nice that someone said on Twitter. It can be a personal email that we received. We just like to add all of these things to the love notes database. And then as part of our weekly team sync, we actually go through and read these together and celebrate. And then one of the last things I do is clear my routines. So you'll see this is the actions database once again, but this time I'm filtering this to only show me things where the time block contains daily. So this is one way that I do my recurring tasks. I'll have to create a separate video on this if I haven't already. But this is a place where I can reset my daily tasks. Now I haven't checked off any. So let's say I've done my daily Meeze for today. I've done this. I've reviewed the intake form, said hi to people, and I've processed my inboxes. Great. If I click reset daily tasks, those are now reset again. And basically what's happening there is it's resetting any of the action items that have a type of routine and the time block is daily or weekly. Those are going to get reset. And those are the time estimates for each of those items. So it's just one way to clear the routines for the day so that I can start the day. So once I've done my reflect and review process, I open up Plan for Success, and that is basically a view of my actions database. There's a lot of different ways that you can do this. It's always going to depend on how you have your actions database set up and what kind of properties you use, etc., and how you just prefer to view your data. But I like to use a now, next, later system. And what I've done here is I'm showing my actions database grouped by status. Now I've hidden later because later is not important on a daily timescale. I should be looking at just the now and next, and I can move stuff from next into now and drag it over. And so what I'm doing here is basically setting myself up tomorrow. So tomorrow, I really only want to be focused on now and in progress. The next stuff is really, tomorrow, a couple days from now, next week. I don't really need to see that right now. So what I'm doing is moving the most important stuff from next into now to kind of activate it and make it important today. And that way, when I start my day up and I do my startup ritual, I can be looking at the now list. And as I'm ready to tackle things, I move them into in progress and then into done. So there's no need to really see this on a daily basis. I do my now, next, later review as part of my weekly review. And that's when I want to take a look at what's in the later list and I can move those into next, etc. But really for the purposes of just setting up tomorrow's tasks, I really only need to see next, now, and in progress. Then I can look at the undated tab. Now, there's a few different ways you can do this. You can just filter this to show you anything that has not been assigned a date. You can also include a backlog if you want. So for example, show me everything where the date is empty or the start date is before today. And that's going to catch anything that's been assigned to be now or next, but doesn't have a date assigned to it, or it's in the backlog, or the date got missed and it still hasn't been completed yet. So it's up to you whether you want to see those backlog tasks in there as well, or just show everything that's undated. It's personal preference. And then I like to just do a final calendar view where I can look at all this stuff and I can drag things around if I want to. And once that's done, I can also scroll down and look at the end of the workday. So a reminder to file away all of my papers, books, anything that's kind of lingering around on my desk, clearing any dishes off the desk. I can reset my daily tasks from here. And I've just got my good night routine here. Now, I'm not usually going right from my desktop into my night routine, but it's just a good reminder of what is going to be a helpful shutdown routine for the day. And that's it. Again, this can take 5 minutes, it could take 15 minutes. It really depends on how much time you have available, but getting in the habit of even just doing 15 minutes at the end of the day is really, really going to help you get out of that feeling of overwhelm, like everything just feels like it's urgent and important and you don't know where to start, doing daily reviews and weekly reviews is really going to help you break that habit. It's the only way. The reason that we keep adding things onto our plate is because we don't actually have a good sense of what's on our plate. And the only way to do that is to get in the habit of doing these reviews. So it's not an easy habit to do. And, it's okay if you don't get it right every single day. All that matters is that you're just giving yourself a few moments at the end of the day. Now, regardless of whether or not you use Notion, this is a really helpful thing to do. You can do it on paper. You can do it in whatever apps you use. This whole process is really just about noticing patterns. So when do things kind of get off track? Are there certain types of tasks that you're continuing to avoid over and over again? How often does that happen? How long has this been happening for? It's a chance to kind of zoom out a little bit and notice some of those patterns. And again, you can't notice it. You can't make steps to correct it if your head is in the sand and you're not being honest about what's really happening. So it's really easy for things to stack up and to feel really overwhelming when we don't get into this habit. So I cannot recommend it enough. The Daily Meeze and the Startup Ritual are 2 pages and 2 routines that have been ridiculously helpful for helping me feel more aligned as I start and finish my days. So there's a link to the template in the description below. You can download the template and there's space for you to put your own databases in there using linked databases. Instructions are included in the template. And if this works out for you and you have other things that you like to do as part of your daily Meeze, I would love to hear it. Let me know what helps you close out your day and prepare for the day ahead. The Daily Meeze routine is such a powerful routine. I cannot express enough how much doing a daily review, even a short daily review, can make such a huge difference in helping you get out of that feeling of overwhelm, because you'll start to have a real, true sense of what's already on your plate before you begin committing to new things. So I really encourage you to consider setting up some kind of dashboard or routine for yourself that helps you do this kind of end of day review. You don't have to include all the databases that I've included here. You don't have to include your journal or your library, etc. It can be as simple or as complex as you need it to be, but I recommend starting simple because you're much more likely to do it if it doesn't feel like a burden. So consider making a page that feels really inspiring. Maybe it's really colorful. Maybe there's really pretty images. Make it something fun that you look forward to doing at the end of the day, and you are going to start to feel a little bit more free as you finish your day. I hope this was helpful. Thanks so much for watching, and don't forget you can download the template in the description below. I will see you next time.